Hello and welcome back to Seaside Garage. I have decided to fit all the parts missing from this engine compartment before going any further. I had hoped to just put one part on at a time and test if everything is working out, but I have a feeling that maybe that could mess with the ECU system. So what I'm going to do is to fit everything, then see what works and what doesn't, and then go from there. I have done some research on this engine management system, and I got some papers that I can look into for resistance readings on the sensors and so on. So I'm going to try that, but now I'm going to fit some parts. Ignition module. But we should have some connectors, and we do. And they can not be fitted wrong because, yeah, that's just nice. That one into there, like that. Next up, it's this idle air control valve thingy. Now I'm going to fit the throttle positioning sensor. It goes on the side. It's also missing. I got 3 of these as well. So who knows if this works, but I have some change. But I have some spare possibility if not. But maybe none of them works. It's just hard to say. And yes, I could end up taking all this off again, but it's easier for me to start the fault finding with everything back together, starting from scratch and go from there. That's not that sensor that goes there. Maybe this one. Like that. It's like a puzzle for grown-ups, this. It's really rewarding. Maybe not, but it's fun to do at least. Then I'm gonna fit this. But before doing that, I will just have to tighten up these because they are not tight. Once again, I have 3 of these. But I'm gonna start with this one. This is the injector. This is a monopoint injection system. So this is the only injector. It's pretty much just an advanced form of carburetor. It's not direct injection, it's just single point. Oh wait, this is not the one that was there to begin with, because this one still have the gasket. This doesn't, and the gasket is down there. So I'm actually gonna take this one instead, because I guess that's the one that was fitted last time. Yes, I know these gaskets should be changed, but I'm not going for perfect right now. I'm just going for running. So yeah, a little vacuum leak is possible, but like that. And then we have a connection that goes together with this one. This must be a manifold pressure sensor. The car doesn't have any mass airflow sensor, so maybe this is what does the job for that. And I think it is supposed to be fitted to that point right there. And then most likely have a bracket somewhere. Actually, I found this bracket in the stash. So this is good enough for now. It needs to be fitted somewhere else. Maybe I fit the bracket wrong, because I'm pretty sure it's going to fit down there some way. But I'm not going to bother about that right now. Last thing to fit that was lying around is 2 relays. I'm pretty sure it won't affect anything on the engine. I think it's something to do with wipers or blinkers or something like that. But they fit down here. So let's just see and put them back in. And get a fire extinguisher ready and put on some power. I fitted the battery. Let's just try to see if we get any signal to the fuel pump. I'm hoping to hear the fuel pump prime, of course, just like last time. Nothing really. I'm just gonna try to tap the fuel pump underneath the car to see if that maybe makes it wake up. Yeah, this is really shade tree mechanic stuff, I know, but Just want to move this car, remember. If it doesn't work, then I will have to see if I can measure if it gets a signal. I'm actually slightly unsure if I can hear the fuel pump a little bit, so I'm just going to put in some fuel. So let's see if anything happens. I really don't think so, but now at least the pump has something to pump. Nope, nothing. So either the fuel pump is not getting the signal from the ECU, or maybe the ECU doesn't get the signal to actually fire the fuel pump. But I'm gonna measure if signal arrives to the fuel pump. Over this corner is two relays. I think it's ignition and fuel pump. I have removed both of them and will try to short circuit that one and see if I can, not short circuit, but jump it, to see if I can kick start that fuel pump. I can hear something in the rear of the car. I think it's the pump. It's not priming, but it's sort of so I think it's stuck. So I have decided to go ahead and remove the fuel pump because it's not working. But I'm going to attempt to make it work because I don't have another one. And I wish I did that with the car on the axle stands like it was yesterday. Oh, there we go. The pump is out. So first thing to test is if I can make it run outside of the car, directly from a battery. Then I know it will get the voltage that it needs, at least. No, it's doing the same. Another thing that I can try is to use this battery off my power tool. This is 18 volts, so it's more than it's normally seeing. It is a 12 volt, of course. By doing this, I could maybe kickstart it and get it to work. Let's try that out. It makes a move, but it doesn't work. What I'm going to try now is to reverse it, to see if I can make it spin the other way. Nope. So I'm gonna try something that I have never tried. I'm gonna put this into the sonic cleaner and give it 10 minutes. And then let's see if that makes a difference. So that didn't work. Then I gave it another bath in the ultrasonic cleaner, cranked up the temp to 70 degrees and gave it a total of 1 hour. That didn't work either. Then I resorted to some proven and very effective methods of fixing pretty much everything. And that didn't work either. It's completely dead. I can make a small click and it feels like something is stuck in the impeller or however this is working. I'm not really sure actually, but this is dead. But much to my surprise, I could actually go and get another fuel pump locally, and it was even pretty cheap. So I'm just gonna install this and then hopefully fuel will be arriving at the engine bay. I'm gonna do that real quick. I'm trying to show you the new fuel pump which is installed, but I know that most of you are most likely looking at the drive shaft because it's a 4x4. There's so much exciting stuff down here. I haven't really looked at anything because I wanted to get on my lift before I really assess it, but it's interesting, that's for sure. But a brand new fuel pump is now installed with old wires and old fuel lines and all that. That will have to be changed at some point. Above the pump is also a fuel filter that looks like not a fuel filter. But this should do the trick, I hope, to get fuel to the engine bay at least. Oh yeah, I can hear some gurgling sounds at least. No fuel just yet. I don't know if you can see it from here. I think you can, but it's the canister above the fuel pump that's leaking. It's the fuel filter. Luckily, I can get that locally as well, so I'm just going to go ahead and find one of those, because just like having a hole in your straw, air will get in there and then the suction won't really work, and it's not good enough for the pump to pump fuel to the fuel tank. So, and it's really rusty up there, so it's not a big surprise. I just didn't think of it. So I'm just going to go ahead and buy one of those and fit it, and then we should get some fuel to the engine. New fuel filter installed, and the old one did have a small hole right there, but still no fuel up here. Then I remembered the up and down video where he removed the fuel tank. Before doing that, he pumped out all the fuel using an electric pump. After that, he took the fuel tank off, and it was still pretty heavy. I could see him struggle with that, and he poured out a lot of fuel. So for some reason, the Citroen BX doesn't seem to be able to reach the fuel in there. I put in 10 liters of fuel. Nothing is coming out. Then I put in 15 liters of fuel in total. Nothing came out. Now I'm at 17 liters. And now, I don't think you can see it, but you can hear it. Fuel is pumping out. Wow. So either there is something wrong with the fuel tank in mine, or this is just something with the BXs, which is really a weird thing, that you have to go above 15 liters of fuel to actually get anything to the engine. Don't ask me why, because French maybe, but it's so weird and quite expensive to put so much fuel in just to get it to the engine bay. Now we have fuel. I'm just going to pump out some fuel and see how it looks. Hopefully it's clean enough so we can run on it. A bit yellow, but it smells just fine, and there is absolutely nothing in it of sediment or anything like that. So this should be more than good enough to run on. So next up it's spark, but before that I'm just going to try to run the fuel pump to make sure it doesn't spew out of somewhere. Okay, so that seems to be a problem. The injector was just completely open and just spewed all the fuel into the engine. Now just put the spare injector thing that I got on it. Let's try to give that some pressure and see if it spews out the same way. Nope, that works. I'm just going to swap this part for this one. So with the new injector fitted, I can pressurize the system, and it's just getting up here and back to the tank, so that's good. Next up, we're going to check for spark, and we should see a spark right there when I crank the engine if the ignition system is working. Let's try. Nothing. Now this is electronic ignition with an ECU and all that. Normally I would go and check the points, but there are not any on this. So what I'm going to check first is actually the crankshaft shaft positioning sensor. I know that the ohm reading on prong number 1 and number 2 should be between 350, I think, and 500 according to my papers. And if this one is gone, it wouldn't give signal to the ECU, I don't think. So there's something wrong with this. I'm going to take this out and take it to the workbench. According to my papers, 1 and 2 is supposed to be between 300 and 500 ohms. It's reading 25. It's not good enough. Much to my luck, I could actually get one locally as well. Let's try to take that one out. So that's reading 346. So that's within spec. Do you think I'm really lucky if this is the only problem, but let's try to fit this and connect it to the ECU and see if we get a spark. I've taken the other connector, the fuel pump is in there and connected. This is the other connector that controls the ignition. I have shorted that because I have a feeling that maybe the relay is not working right. Let's try. Oh yeah. So after a lot of fiddling, I actually got the spark to be pretty consistent. I got it before, but then it disappeared again. The coil back there, the terminals on the coil, was corroded, so I cleaned them up. But now when I crank it, I get a good, nice spark right there, which means that I think it should be possible to make this engine run now. What I'm gonna do now is to disconnect the battery, fit all the spark plugs, then we're gonna attempt the first start on this one. There we go. But just for fun, let's try to put some fuel into the inlet, just to make it do something. Oh yeah! What? Took me a second to figure out how to stop it again, because I jumped the system so it wouldn't cut out by the ignition, of course, and it didn't cut out by removing the battery. That means the generator is working. It got a hell of a lot of revs, and I think it is drawing in some air from somewhere. That's my guess, at least. So big success, the engine actually fired up. I think the reason why the idle was that high is because the idle air control valve is either not working or not getting any signal. So I'm going to try to start it up again and then block up and then try to squeeze off the hose to see if the idle drops. Other than that, I have a suspicion that the ECU is fried, not working. I think I'm just making the engine run on generic setup or without the input from the ECU. I could be mistaken, but nothing is happening when I put it into ignition when the relays are fitted. That could be because both of the relays are bad. Could also be the ECU. So what I want to do now is to fire it up, see if I can make the idle drop. If that works, then shut it off once again. Then I'm going to remove the ECU by disconnecting the connector and see if I can make it run, because I'm not sure how this is all set up, but I have a feeling that it's not working. But right now I'm going to fire it up, squeeze that one off and see if I can change the idle. Yeah, it's the idle air control valve that is not doing anything. But the ECU must be working because it must be controlling the injector. something must be working in it at least. So it could just be the relays. Sounding pretty nicely. The engine, the car is not rising up though. So we might have an issue with the hydraulic system, which is not a big deal really. And I wasn't suspecting it to work either. But fluid is not spewing out everywhere, so that's a really good thing. But just to attempt, I'm just going to try to disconnect that ECU. I really don't think it will work. I just have a feeling that there's something wrong with that one. Let's fire. Okay, no. So it won't fire without the ECU, so it's not that. Then it must be those relays. Let's try to see if I can drive it out of here. It's really low. Clutch feeling weird, but could be working. Let's try first gear. Oh! It's really high. The biting point is really high up. Oh, it's sounding pretty nice. So the BX is running now. There is lots of issues still. It's not really priming when I want to start it, so I need to give it a bit of fuel to make it run. But it runs pretty nicely. I had to refill some coolant, but that's not surprising either. I do have some issues with those relay and possibly the ECU, but I think it will be pretty easy to solve. Now it's possible to move the car. It's very difficult because it's really, really low. The hydraulic system is not rising the car up into the air, but I wasn't expecting that because actually one of the spheres are missing from the left rear tire. So even if the pressure rises, it will just drop out of there. And it actually began to drip a little bit from there. So I think the system could work. It just needs to be put together, really. But as I told you, this is pretty much all I want to do on the BX for now. I need to finish up some of the other projects. I need to sell some cars because I'm all out of cash. So the BX is going into the storage for a while. I am really looking forward to work on it, so it might happen a bit sooner than expected, but I would really like to get the Princess back on the road, do some more work to the Datsun. I got some fixes on the Niva that I need to do, and take a better look at the Saab because I really want to do that as well. So this is all for now. Thank you for watching. Consider supporting me on Patreon if you like my videos, and see you in the next one.